We live entirely, especially if we are writers, by the imposition of a narrative line upon disparate images. Joan Didion. I was folding laundry when the phone rang. 6:13 p.m., Tuesday. The light cut through the window at an angle, casting a slice of orange across the room. My father's name lit up the screen. Nothing unusual. We spoke once a week, Sundays usually, but he was never rigid. I answered. It wasn't a greeting. There was no small talk, no gentle build-up. I met someone. The words entered my ear like a small stone dropped into still water. Light, but deep. I didn't speak. Not because I was shocked, though maybe I was, but because I wasn't sure what the right question was. Someone? Where? Since when? Or maybe, why now? Mom had died less than a year ago. 9 months, give or take. I remember clearly because her funeral was on my youngest daughter's 3rd birthday. The fact of her death wasn't a surprise. Cancer doesn't exactly sneak up on you. But the absence of her still hummed under everything, like a burn beneath the skin. We met at the community group, he continued. She's kind. I think you'll like her. His voice was calm, steady, like always. No tremble, no excitement. I imagined him standing at the kitchen window, holding a lukewarm cup of coffee, the last light of the day catching the lines in his face. I let out a laugh, soft, instinctive. Not mocking, not amused. The kind of laugh that slips out when the brain can't yet form a reasonable response. That's fast, Dad. Just those 3 words. He fell quiet. I could hear him exhale, barely audible. Then he changed the subject, asked about work, about the kids. I answered, one question at a time. The call ended like a door closing that neither of us acknowledged had opened. 3 days later, he sent a photo, a selfie. He stood beside a woman I'd never seen. Their smiles were warm, close, like they had shared something unspeakable and now carried it together. I stared at the photo, unsure where to file it in my phone. Not under family, not friends. I left it in recents, unmarked, like a box you don't label because you don't yet know where it belongs. That night, my eldest, he's 11, asked, "Is Grandpa really dating someone?" I nodded. The next question hit harder. Does that mean Grandma got replaced? I remembered something Didion once wrote. We do not love the dead less. We remember them more vividly to keep ourselves from unraveling. I felt myself unraveling. Not because Dad had found someone, but because I didn't know where this new woman stood. In my life, in my children's memories, in the empty chair next to Dad at Christmas dinner. I knew I'd need to talk to him. Really talk, but not yet. Some things need to be held in silence before they can be spoken without cruelty. It wasn't the grief that surprised me. I had memorized grief, rehearsed it in the year after Mom died. I had kept a list. Her favorite candle scent, fig and cedar, the grocery items she always forgot, rice vinegar, tangerines, the last voicemail she left, cut off mid-sentence. Grief was a static ache. It didn't morph, didn't trick me. What did surprise me was the second grief, the one no one warns you about. The grief that comes when the person you love, who lost the same person, starts to move on. We were at my sister's house, a Sunday afternoon, casserole in the oven, football murmuring in the background. My father brought her, the woman. Lori, she said, as if we'd heard the name before. We hadn't. She wore a green scarf, floral earrings, a perfume that reached us before she did. My sister poured wine into her glass without speaking. My brother-in-law smiled stiffly, a hospitality reflex. The kids hovered upstairs, sensing tension through the floorboards. They sat side by side on the couch, too close, not touching. He spoke about Lori as if she had always existed, how she volunteered at the senior center, how she liked lemon pie, how she and Mom would have gotten along. That last part stung, a speculation that felt like a trespass. She and Mom were different people, I said, too softly to be taken as confrontation. But Dad heard. He paused, blinked slowly, and didn't reply. That night, I cried in the car, alone, in the driveway. Not because Lori had done anything wrong, not because my father was in love, but because the world I thought was paused, frozen in shared loss, was actually turning without me. And grief, I realized, isn't just sadness. It's exclusion. It's showing up to a house that once felt like yours and finding a new toothbrush in the bathroom. 2 days later, I called him. He picked up on the second ring, cheerful. I didn't match his tone. Dad, I need to talk to you. Silence. I don't know how to explain this, I continued, but everything's moving too fast. The kids don't understand. I don't understand. He was quiet, and for once I wished he would interrupt me. I didn't want to be the one saying these things. I wanted him to say them first. I loved your mother, he said finally. I know. But I was alone, really alone, not just at night, not just during meals. I'd go whole days without using my voice. He paused. I'm still me. But there's less of me when there's no one there to notice. That line sat with me for hours. I thought about all the things I'd done in the past year to hold myself together. Therapy, yoga, journaling, single parenting. I thought about how I had imagined my dad doing the same, somewhere in his silent house. But he hadn't. He had reached for someone. And maybe that wasn't betrayal. Maybe it was survival. But understanding something doesn't mean accepting it. Not immediately. Not without resistance. I told him I needed more time. The kids, too. He said he understood, but his voice dipped when he said it, like a man accepting a compromise he never asked for. The next weekend, Lori sent the kids handwritten cards, different stationery for each child. She had spelled my daughter's name wrong. I didn't mention it. There's a chair at my father's house that used to belong to my mother. High-backed, wooden arms, cushioned in soft blue fabric she picked herself after weeks of indecision. The pattern doesn't match anything else in the room. That was the point. She liked the idea of something standing on its own. After she passed, no one sat in that chair. Not out of reverence, but because grief is territorial. It claims objects, corners, air. When Lori came over again, weeks later, maybe months, time was porous then, she sat in that chair. Not deliberately, not defiantly. She probably didn't know. But my stomach turned anyway, as if something sacred had been cracked. I didn't say anything. I made tea. I asked if she wanted sugar. She said she was trying to cut back. I nodded. The small talk made me nauseous. That evening, after she left, I found my father sitting on the porch, alone. He wasn't looking at anything in particular, just sitting, still the way he used to when Mom was knitting beside him. I sat next to him. Neither of us spoke for a while. The crickets filled the silence, clicking like bones. Then he said, I know it's hard. I didn't reply. I keep thinking she's going to walk in and ask why I'm wearing socks with sandals. That made me smile, because it was exactly what Mom would say. But she doesn't walk in, he said. She never walks in. He paused, then, Lori isn't a replacement. I stared at the sky. A plane passed overhead, tiny and blinking. She's someone who lets me speak out loud, that's all. Grief is a mirror. It shows you not just what you lost, but who you were when you had it. Sometimes the hardest part isn't the missing, it's the remembering. And still, we go on. We find new rhythms not to erase the old, but because time is cruel like that. It moves forward even when we beg it not to. Weeks later, my youngest drew a family picture. There was Grandpa. There was a stick figure woman next to him. Not Grandma, not Lori, just someone. I asked her who it was. "That's the lady who laughs with Grandpa," she said. I said nothing. I didn't correct her, didn't name the loss, didn't redraw the past. There are still days when I flinch, when I see a teacup she would have used, when Lori hums a melody my mother hated, when my dad signs a card from both of us. But the flinching softens. And one day, I sat in the blue chair. It didn't feel like betrayal. It felt like permission, not from Lori, not even from my father, but from something quiet inside me. Finally learning that memory and presence don't cancel each other out. They coexist, uneasily, imperfectly, but enough.